Scientific Curiosity by Anonymous Pegasus. Chapter 1. Scientific Curiosity. Twilight Sparkle chewed nervously at the end of her quill, staring down at the parchment she was preparing to write on. She had it all set up. She had gotten the product from Pinkie Pie. Apparently, the cakes had gone to Sakura seeking a medicine that would keep the bouncy pink pony more level-headed. Twilight took that to mean not bouncing off the walls constantly. But it was a strange herb that Twilight had never heard of. She had witnessed Pinkie Pie go from crazy to tame in just a few puffs, and after logging her observations on parchment, she decided that she had to try a small amount herself. But actually going through with it was a completely different thing. It was mildly bothersome to her to think that she would very soon be in the same state of mind as Pinkie Pie. She had gone from bouncy and happy to just, well, happy. Twilight took another deep breath, steadying her nerves, reminding herself that this was purely scientific. She was logging her results carefully to keep a record of the effects because, as far as she knew, there had never been a study conducted into the effects. It was almost midnight. Twilight had chosen the time perfectly. Every pony would be asleep, so if she did anything silly, it would go unnoticed. Twilight waited until a minute before her grandfather clock would chime to start the process happening. It was a very elegant process, burning the herb and then filtering the resultant smoke through a swirled tube of water to remove impurities and keep ash from getting into the lungs. As the grandfather clock began to chime, Twilight leaned in to inhale the vapors. An acrid smell invaded the unicorn's senses, and she wrinkled her nose hard, trying to finish inhaling before she began to cough and sputter, pulling back and making a face. Immediately, her eyes began to water and burn, and the world spun around her for several moments. Immediately, Twilight pulled her quill out and began recording notes. The young unicorn stalked the night, her eyes puffy and red, her expression rather slack, with cookie crumbs visible on her chin. Her mission? Cookies. Pinkie Pie must have cookies. A soft jingle rang through the deserted sugar cube corner as Twilight magicked the door open, sneaking inside, very proud of her skills in the art of stealth. In truth, the unicorn had made quite a bit of noise, stumbling over the display case to look for cookies. But Twilight became distracted partway there, her eyes widening as the glowing of her horn revealed the holy grail of all snack foods, cupcakes! Individually frosted cupcakes stood underneath the glass, all neat and ordered, set in their rows. Some of them even had little faces made of sweets. Twilight stared down at the lines of cupcakes, her eyes wide, mouth parted slightly, having to swallow once or twice as she drooled copiously. She leaned close to the display case, turning her head to the side and pricking an ear upward, listening intently. "Please, Twilight, eat us," the cupcakes said, their little voices comically high. "Why, yes, cupcakes, I'll eat you," Twilight assured, nodding earnestly down at the tasty treats. The sound of movement down in Sugar Cube Corner woke Pinkie Pie up, and the violently pink pony rolled out of bed, picking up a lantern and making her way down the stairs to make sure an animal hadn't gotten in to eat the cakes again, as had just happened a month ago. Her surprise, however, her lamp revealed the huddled form of the unicorn friend Twilight, crouched over the display case, sobbing. "Twilight?" Pinkie Pie said, bewildered, stepping closer to the unicorn. Twilight looked up at Pinkie Pie, her face streaked with tears and frosting, evidence of her cupcake genocide. The single survivor of her terrible reign was nestled close to the unicorn's chest and held there firmly by the loving, tender hoof. I ate all of his friends," Twilight wailed, shaking her head in vain disbelief, trying her best not to look down at the display case, strewn with the blood, icing, and the severed limbs of the poor cupcake's comrades. It was a morbid battleground, strewn with the evidence of Twilight's terrible one-pony war waged on the cupcakes. Bursting forth into fresh tears, Twilight sheltered the poor battered cupcake from the display case, comforting it. "Don't worry, Cupcake. It's over, I promise. I won't harm your kind any more. It's over." Pinkie Pie just stared at Twilight, mouth parted in disbelief. The door to Sugar Cube Corner opened again, and an irritable-looking Luna stepped inside. "Luna, thanks for coming." Pinkie Pie breathed a sigh of relief, shaking her head helplessly. "Please, can you do something?" Twilight is about to declare war on the cakes! Luna gave a bewildered stare at the pink pony, before leaning to the side to peer past her, to where Twilight stood, with war paint made of yellow cupcake frosting marking her cheeks and forehead. She had one hoof lifted, pointing at the display case holding the cakes. "Yes, Cupcake," she declared, "we will claim the sovereignty of that side of the room for your people, so that you may repopulate the lands with your delicious brethren." "Is there something I need to know?" Luna asked suspiciously. Pinkie Pie paused at that, obviously mulling the question over, before she cast a furtive glance left and right, and then leaned in quietly to say, I might have given her some stuff that she wanted to try." "Stuff?" Luna spoke the word flatly, eyes narrowed at Pinkie. The pink earth pony flushed, hanging her head. "I didn't think it would make her crazy." Luna pushed past Pinkie Pie, stepping between Twilight and the display case holding the cakes as Twilight began her clumsy charge. The unicorn came up short, eyes widening, hooves scrambling at the floor as she squeaked and leapt behind the empty cupcake case, taking cover. "No, Cupcake, we can't face Nightmare Moon. She'll eat you alive," the unicorn wailed. The Dark Princess stepped over to the display case, peering over it, staring down at the huddled unicorn. Twilight slowly looked upwards, her eyes widening. "No, no," she squeaked, flailing a hoof at the princess. "I'll not let you eat my Cupcake. I will protect him with my life." Luna stared at Twilight flatly for several long moments, blinking slowly. "Twilight, have you lost leave of your senses?" "It is a trick," Twilight accused, poking Luna's nose with her hoof. "You're just trying to get me to let my guard down, and then you'll eat him." Luna snorted once, stalking over to the sink and filling a cup with water. Calmly, she stepped back over to the unicorn and dumped the cup of water all over her. Twilight gasped, her eyes widening as the cold splash washed over her, squeaking faintly and flailing her hoof at Luna again. "What was that for?" Luna stared down at the unicorn. "Come, we will return you to your home." It was an effort to get the unicorn home, leading her through dark Ponyville streets. "Luna! Luna! Hey, Luna!" Twilight said from behind the Dark Princess, stumbling in her steps. Luna looked back over her shoulder with a scowl. "Yes?" Twilight giggled faintly, and then prodded Luna's cutie mark. "If you mooned some pony, how many moons would there be?" Luna just shook her head, ushering the unicorn into the library and upstairs, pushing her towards the bed. The noise awoke Spike, who sleepily stared around. "What? You got a Cupcake for me?" he asked, picking up the lone survivor from the sugar cube corner. Before Twilight could even speak, the Cupcake was gone. Luna huffed as she tried to get the distraught unicorn back to bed. Twilight Sparkle's notebook stood as a testament to the events of that night. 12:01. Have inhaled the contents. Mild vertigo observed. Passed after a few seconds. Was unable to hold inhale. 12:05. 5 minutes since inhalation. So no ill effects noticeable. 12:10. 10 minutes since inhalation. Still no effects noticed. 12:11. Having consumed every cookie I could find. Must get more. 1:35. Today we have lost a soldier. We have lost a good friend and comrade. He survived the betrayal of the Unicorn Scourge, and saw his way through the attack of Nightmare Moon, and even survived the Great Migration. But upon arrival of our homelands, our ever fearless Cupcake Von Frosting Face met his untimely demise at the jaws of a ferocious dragon. Let us forever remember this day as the day we lost a true hero. And at the end of the parchment was a single note without a time stamp. I will never smoke anything ever again.